Welcome to my kitchen. Well, now that you're here, I'm going to let you in on a few secrets to make the dreamiest, creamiest hummus you've ever had. I'm sure you've tried hummus many places, lots of restaurants, and you've probably had a fabulous hummus. And you wonder how that is. How do you get a creamy, velvety texture? Well, I'm going to show you all the tricks and all the tips that I use. So let's get started. I'm going to get you acquainted with what hummus really means. Hummus, the word hummus in Arabic means chickpeas. Without anything else added to it, it means chickpeas. Basically, this is what it is. When it's dry, which is how I like to make my hummus, it's dry, it's been dehydrated, it's not cooked, obviously it's raw. So you have to bring this to life before you actually cook it. So what you do is you take your chickpeas, you add a tablespoon, depending on the quantity of baking soda, water, and then set it aside at least 6 hours. What I do when I'm making hummus is I do this just the night before I go to sleep and wake up in the morning and proceed. After it's been soaked, you wash your chickpeas completely to get rid of all the baking soda residue. And you're asking me probably, why do you put baking soda? Well, this is one of the tricks. The baking soda actually helps break down the fibers so that it allows the chickpea, when you go to cook it, to cook faster, okay? And it also softens the outer shell. Again, to get to the result that we want, that creamy, velvety hummus, okay? So after the soaking method, and I've washed it completely from the baking soda water, this is what the chickpeas look like. You can see a difference. They've actually plumped up. It's like 3 times the size of the original dry chickpea. Even the color has changed. So it's like it's been brought back to life. So now this chickpea that's been pre-soaked is still raw. Okay, you can't make hummus with this because it's still raw. So I have to cook it. Okay, so the next process is to take these chickpeas and put them in a pot, a deep pot or a saucepan, and immerse it with clean cold water, put it on the stove, allow it to come to boil, and then turn it down and let it simmer. Simmer, depending on the quantity that you have, it can take anywhere between 15 minutes to 20 minutes, depending. And then you're basically looking for a chickpea that is soft, so you have to cook it way beyond the al dente. So it shouldn't be crunchy. It should actually be soft. And how do you know? Well, after it's been cooked, you will grab it with your hand and it should just disintegrate. And that's when you know your chickpeas are ready to go. Now, hummus, the Tahini, has very few ingredients. And there are rules and there's a technique to making it creamy because that's our goal, remember. Now, I have my chickpeas here ready, and remember when I was telling you how the actual hummus chickpea has to be really cooked. So I just want to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take one just to show you how in my hands it literally disintegrates. Okay, that's what we're looking for. I'm going to be using a food processor here because it makes my life a lot easier. Now, long ago, before there were food processors and my mother used to make us hummus, she used to use the old food processor. Does anybody remember this one? Okay, it should bring back some memories for some people. This is an old food mill, which is fabulous, and I use it for many things, but she used to use it for hummus instead of this. But I'm going to not, and I'm going to use my easier version. So I'm going to start by placing my cooked chickpeas inside my food processor. And it's okay if there's a little bit of water, but I am using a slotted spoon. Okay. In it goes. To the chickpeas, I'm going to add a few cubes of ice. Okay, and what does the ice do? Because this is relatively hot, or it's a little more than warm, it will help cool down the food processor. It also gives a little bit of friction, so aids in making the creamiest hummus. So it's going to break the fibers even more, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to whiz this first, okay, as is. Okay, here's a little noise. Okay, So of course, it's not ready yet. So this is stage one, all right? So now at this stage, I add in half a clove of garlic, or one small clove of garlic. That's all I'm putting in. Chickpeas are a very delicate legume, and you don't want to overwhelm them. They're earthy, and they're going to give you a nice texture, but the garlic is there as a background note. You could actually leave it completely, and it would still be delicious. Fresh lemon juice. Nothing else will do. None of that packaged stuff that pretends to be lemon. You have to use real lemon juice. So I'm going to pour in, and I'm going to whiz it again. All right, and now really the most important ingredient at this point is going to be what's going to give the hummus the nuttiness. And it also is part of the name. In the Arab world, where hummus was born, that's its birthplace, we call this dish hummus Tahini, which means chickpeas with tahini, okay, or tahini. And what is that? This is what it is, okay? It's actually sesame butter. I mean, that, you know, if you can visualize what that is. It's creamy, and all it is ground sesame, okay? It's sesame like this, hulled sesame seeds, all right? And they're not toasted, they're raw. And there's only one ingredient in this. It's just ground sesame. Now, if you go to the store and you find something that says, I don't know, ground sesame, cashew, peanut, whatever, mixed into, don't buy it. It's not real. It's not authentic. You want 100% sesame seeds. Chickpeas need a lot of help. They're very bland. So you're probably going to put in more tahini than you think you need or what you've traditionally done. The only seasoning that goes in hummus is salt, okay? And you can put in a little right now, and then you're going to taste it, and then you can add later. Don't put too much salt at the beginning because you can't fix it later. We're going to whiz it again, and it's going to transform the hummus now to something creamy, and of course the tahini in this is going to help with some emulsification because it does have a fat, like the natural fat that's in sesame. Okay, so here it goes. Okay, so I'm going to take a little break here to continue my little discussion about hummus. There are rules. Now, I know you may have made hummus or have seen somebody make hummus and actually add olive oil at this point inside the mixture. No, never. You don't put olive oil inside the mixture. The olive oil is done and used later on as a garnish. It's the finishing oil that goes on top of the hummus, not inside. If you put oil inside, it's going to be greasy and heavy, and it's going to change the texture completely. So no oil whatsoever. So I just want to show you just how beautiful and creamy it is, okay? I want to show you the texture. It really should be like cake batter. And it may seem a little loose right now, but what happens later on is it will thicken as it cools down. And then when you're ready to eat it, it will be just perfect. Now it's had a chance to sit, and it gets a little bit thick, and you can see how beautiful and velvety it is. And actually hummus, the way it would be eaten traditionally, the way we eat it in the Arab world, we would go to a special place that sells hummus and food, which is the fava beans. And you would get it warm or lukewarm. Really, hummus shouldn't see a refrigerator. It shouldn't be cold. It should be savored and enjoyed at lukewarm when it tastes best. And I'm going to start plating, and I'm just going to do it in a very simple way, of course. It's up to you how you like to plate your hummus. And I just keep it simple, and I start by mounding a little bit here, and then I'm going to make it expensive. There you go. Price just went up. I like to garnish with the actual hummus. So see the cooked chickpeas, I always leave a little at the end for a garnish, and that's really telling people that there is chickpeas in this, and it's nice, like it's part of the ingredients. Okay, so I'm just going to put a couple here and a couple there. Oh, a couple of radishes here and there. You know, it's your plate of hummus, and you can do whatever you like. Okay, so I'm just going to put in a couple of things just for crunch. I have some jalapeno peppers here as well for a little bit of green. All right, here. And I have some pine nuts, and if you don't have pine nuts and these been toasted, you could certainly use almonds or pistachios or just nothing at all. And what would also be nice is a little bit of toasted sesame seeds, because the sesame seeds, remember, it's in the tahini, so it would be nice to garnish with sesame. It'll give it a nice little crunch. And then I take a little bit of parsley, because parsley and hummus go really well together. We're just going to add it as a garnish, and it's also nice to eat. So whatever you garnish with, make sure that it's something edible and that it actually complements the dish as well, because that's important. It's not just for decoration. It's there for a reason, also to eat. And this is when you put on the olive oil on the hummus, okay? So you drizzle and you find that little crater that you've created and just swirl it around, and that is that. That is a plate of hummus, tahini, not hummus, it's hummus. That's the way it's pronounced. All done and ready to dig into. And the best way to eat this glorious dish of hummus is with Arabic bread. So you break off a piece. Now, of course, you could use like a crudité. You could use carrots, cucumbers, if you like it with vegetables, but the way to eat it best is with bread, and the way we eat it in the Arab world traditionally. So you grab your piece of bread and you roll it around and you create a little scoop. This is the way we eat it. And you dig in, get a little bit of that hummus, okay, some parsley and the olive oil, and you eat. Yum. And there's other ways to prepare things to add to it, like there's hummus with extra hummus, there's hummus with vegetables on top, there's hummus with meat on top, there's many variations. And I'll show you in the future, I'll do a couple of videos where I'll show you different ways to create using the same base of hummus, but adding other things to it, but still staying true to its authentic ingredients. I hope you picked up a few tips today, and I would love to hear your comments. Leave some comments below and let me know how you got on with your hummus and using the tips and things that I've described today. I do hope you enjoy it. See you next time.